There are a few things I think are absolutely essential to know as a guitarist and musician, especially if you've been playing for a bit. I want to give you a few very specific things and also the reasons why I think they are so important. If you're a self-taught player, this video can serve you as an anchor point and the proof that you've achieved something and are ready for the next steps. If you are taking lessons or have taken some in the past, ask yourself if you've really gone through these basics. And if you're considering taking lessons, I'll give you some very specific suggestions in this video to check out first. That way you can actually save a lot of money because it's something you can work on by yourself and you'll be able to focus on more detailed and advanced things with your teacher instead. The first thing I would say is absolutely essential is knowing your scales. And I'll explain in a moment why they are so important. The only three scales you really need to know are the major scale, the harmonic minor scale, and the melodic minor scale. That's very easy to remember, right? But even if you only know the major scale, that's already very good for a solid foundation. So if I asked you right now to play all the notes across the entire fretboard in F sharp major, could you do it? So why are scales so important? Well, there are a lot of benefits, but I'll give you three for now. The first reason is when you improvise, you're not just randomly searching for notes because you actually know which ones will sound good and which ones won't. The same goes for writing solos. You don't have to go through the trial and error process of figuring out which notes fit because you already know them. And obviously same with writing riffs. So your workflow is just way faster. The second reason is scales are also important if you want to communicate with other musicians. For example, in your band, during the writing process or during the rehearsals, they know exactly what you mean or what you play, and they don't have to guess anything. So the communication there will be way easier. If your bandmate wrote a chord progression and tells you the chords, you don't have to figure out each individual note for every chord because you instantly know, okay, so this chord progression is in that key, so this is the scale I can use. So if you want your communication with other musicians to get way better, this is the way to go. The third reason is we all want to improve our technique constantly, but it's pretty useless if you spend months practicing just one lick and then just can't apply it to any other key or scale shapes. You don't want to be limited to just one specific sequence of notes. So how should you practice these scales? Well, I'll give you a great starting point. Learn the 3-note per string scale shapes. Why 3-note per string scales? Because it gives you a very specific system. There are 7 notes in the scale, so you get 7 positions. And with this system, you play every single note of the scale on the entire fretboard without thinking much about it because it's always 3-note per string. It's super systematic and the shapes look exactly the same in every key, obviously. So all you need to learn are 7 different fingerings. Once you know those, you can play in any key and any mode you want. That's it, super simple. But I'll go deeper into modes and other stuff in another video. I've also already made a workout video for all positions and all keys if you need a guideline to practice. And if you want the guitar profiles, you can find them in my Scale Masterclass on Patreon. The link is in the description. Now I've talked a lot about scales, but there are a few other things I think are absolutely essential. So the next thing I suggest you to check out is triads. You don't want to be limited to just minor and major bar chords when you're trying to figure out a simple chord progression like this. Of course, you can also learn the bar chord with the root on the A string, but even then, using triads makes you much more flexible and you don't have to jump around the fretboard. Plus, you actually understand instantly what voice leading means between different chord voicings. But more on that also in another video. I've also made a workout video about this, so just check out my channel page. Subscribe and hit the bell if you don't want to miss any future videos. The next thing I want to talk about is timing and rhythm. You need to be able to recognize different note rates. And I'm not talking about quintuplets or more advanced concepts, but just the basics like whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, which is 2 notes per beat, eighth note triplets, which is 3 notes per beat, and 16th notes, which is 4 notes per beat. You need to be able to hear them, feel them, and play them. The good thing is you don't even have to practice them individually as long as you practice with a metronome, play along with tracks, or follow some of my workouts regularly. But yeah, developing this skill actually comes as a great side effect of practicing correctly. So that's great. And the last thing I want to talk about in this video is technique, of course. This is probably what most people spend the most time on, which is also a good thing. So from my experience, many music schools and guitar teachers actually say that being able to play 16th notes at 120 BPM is essential before moving on to more complex concepts. And I think that's a good base to have. That's something you can build on. So if you can't do that yet, check out my series on fixing the picking here on YouTube. I've also made a lot of other videos covering different picking scenarios, so just check out my channel page. And if you feel like you really need some personal guidance, you can get that too through my Patreon. I do live streams, give feedback on videos you send in, and even create personalized exercises. Let me know in the comments how you feel about these topics and if all of this is actually super easy for you. And yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.